Hello my dorks, it's the Dork Author here, and welcome back to Deep Dive into Creepypastas, or DDIC for short. This is the series where I'll be picking apart famous and well-known creepypastas, giving a summary, my grievances, and ways to potentially improve them. And on this second episode of DDIC, we will be discussing a story that was voted on by you guys, the viewers. It's a story I honestly surprised even won, but nevertheless, we are going to be picking apart and reviewing Crybaby Lane. If you guys are at all familiar with this story, there's a ton to talk about, and unfortunately, basically nothing will be positive. And that's all I will say. Let's get a quick summary done and out of the way, so we can get a discussion done. Crybaby Lane begins with an intern for Nickelodeon Studios, who was hired out to help production with a film called Crybaby Lane. They were part of the creative production team for the movie, and he was the only steady one, as the main higher-up who was helping them, Laura, would seemingly replace them on a whim. The intern initially wanted the story to be a little bit funnier and light-hearted, because it was going to be aired on Nickelodeon after all, but Laura suggested otherwise. He made it very clear that he wanted the film to be as scary as humanly possible, and he wanted to push it even further than even Are You Afraid of the Dark? About 3 weeks into the production, the intern noticed that Laura had the absolute power of persuasion. Anything that he wanted to happen, he made it happen with zero challenge. The intern was the only one to ever try and challenge his ideas, but each time it would be shot down. It started off with wanting one of the characters to die, which the intern immediately objected to, considering they were going to be airing on a children's program. It then progressed worse and worse, with even cannibalism being mentioned. Eventually, Law decided that he had an idea of how he wanted the story to go. He wanted the story to revolve around a pair of Siamese twins, and it went into horrific detail about what would happen to the two twins if the food ever dwindled. He justified these screwed up ideas by saying that kids love violence, they love to be scared, so this would be perfect for them. He tried justifying it by saying that this was a messed up world, and you have to be messed up to live in it. The ideas became worse and worse and worse, from children being endangered, to even acts of bad assault. This even caused the main character to vomit. However, Law's true powers and terrors were with the other things he suggested. Like how he suggested two brothers captured a squirrel and putting it in a jar and slowly filling it up with water until the air was all gone. And then after this, they suggested they should put a squirrel named Sandy into SpongeBob. Over and over and over, all of these messed up and twisted ideas later became the catalyst for shows like Drake and Josh, As Told by Ginger, Danny Phantom, and My Life as a Teenage Robot. Every single idea you thought you knew, Law had something to do with it, sometimes subtly, and sometimes overtly, and Crybaby Lane was his magnum opus. Okay, that was something. Something shit. Okay, I'm not gonna pull any of my punches today. You guys wanted to see me give Crybaby Lane an ass whooping, and that is what you are going to get, courtesy of me and my friend Summit. Summit immediately came to me when I pitched the idea of this episode, and has given me 7 points to rattle off. I know you should include some positivity into this story, but no, this story doesn't deserve it for many reasons. Let's go on to the first point. The ending. What the fuck? Seriously, what the hell was the person thinking who made this story? This does not make any remote sense in any kind of way and makes my stomach turn. Who the hell would come up with the whole thought that shows on Nickelodeon like As Told by Ginger and Danny Phantom was somehow driven from an insane person who came up with ridiculous and disgusting ideas, and it somehow led to the creation of these shows? Does the person not understand that Nickelodeon is aimed towards children? Nobody in any right sense would ever include these ideas or even suggest it in the first place. It just feels awful and completely forced for no reason other than to make it seem more scary. Which it doesn't make it more scary, it makes it disgusting. The ending makes absolutely no sense and just makes the whole experience of Crybaby Lane the creepypasta so much worse. Point number 2. The person, Law, in the story is actually a real person named Peter Law. And he's a nice dude, he's worked on plenty of other shows before. And this story is trying to paint him as this disgusting psychopathic freak who wants to force the most disgusting, gut-wrenching ideas onto a children's show production. That is fucking disgusting. Quite frankly, I hate the writer's guts for doing that. That man did nothing wrong. He doesn't deserve his name to be dragged along the mud like that. How dare the person for including this? Seriously. It takes an absolutely scummy individual to drag an innocent person's name through the dirt on an online scary story just for the sake of more attention. So yeah, the person in the story, Law, is not a psychopath in real life, he is a normal director, and this person who made this story is trying to paint him out to be this horrible person, which is not even remotely fucking true in the first place. Number 3. The fact that we are redoing the intern thing. Okay, how many stories at this point have we heard, I'm an intern at insert Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, whatever animation studio. It is getting so old at this point, people. Oh my goodness. So not only do they try and drag an innocent person through the mud in this story, they also want to rip off other stories like Squidward's Suicide. Okay, but that's not even the main problem of why I bring this up. The main problem I bring this up is, it literally makes zero sense in the continuity of the story. Okay, Law is this person, right, who is explicitly said likes to change up the people who are working on production of Crybaby Lane for the sake of keeping things fresh. Yet why would an intern at Nickelodeon be the only one exempt from that rule, when the production's been going on for like 3 to 4 months? That is just pure plot convenience, it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense in the terms of the story. I don't get why Law, of all people, would keep around an intern, somebody who's not even fully experienced in terms of animation, while removing the people who have actually worked on other animated projects and have a lick of sense that they know what the hell they're doing. So that point in general completely contradicts what the whole story said. Number 4. The grammar is horrible, and the overuse of swearing constantly, disgusting and gross imagery, is just honestly kinda funny at this point, and ridiculously cheesy and over the top. Listen guys, you can have swearing in a creepypasta. People naturally swear under tension or under anger, we all know this. But the amount of swearing and other words in this story makes it sound like a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. It makes it sound very childish, like it was written by somebody who thinks that swearing and blood and gore is just really cool and edgy. Spoiler alert, it's not, people, it just makes your story look worse. Number 5. The fact that every single person on the fucking staff works with Law and doesn't question anything what is going on. What does that even mean, have the full power of persuasion? So you're telling me Law is this fucking mastermind, this complete person who can manipulate anybody into going along with anything? What kind of sense does that make? How are you able to willingly convince a whole full team of people to go along with sick, disgusting ideas for a children's show? That just doesn't make any sense. You'd have to be some kind of magician or some evil sorcerer to try and do that. Or have some kind of brainwashing thing, which the story doesn't even bring up. It just says, oh, he's like really good at manipulating people. He has the power of persuasion. But yet they don't go into depth with it at all. So we're just left with, oh, he's just good at persuading people. He's good at changing people's minds. So all of a sudden you get to change people's minds so they agree with rape, murder, kidnapping, and cannibalism in a fucking kids film. Why? Why does not a single person except for the intern question this, or at the very least be skeptical? People don't behave like that. What is it, just like hired a whole group of serial killers or something? Because with the amount of people Law goes through according to the story, surely he would have ran into at least one other person that disagreed with his ideas, right? Every single person thinks differently, so surely somebody's got to disagree with him. It's just stupid. Number 6. The villain is over the top. Way too over the top. Like, oh my god, Disney villain levels of over the top, minus all the horrible details and whatnot. I mean, they made Law look like an absolute devil, like not even a real human, like a supernatural creature. Just a completely irredeemable monster with a massive ego. They make him way too unlikable to the point the story just becomes cringy to read. Like, you just can't get into a villain who's just too bad. Like, all he wants to do is just cause pain, misery, suffering and whatnot, and literally nothing else, nothing interesting about him, no cool backstory, nothing. But the worst part again is that the fact that this is based on a real person, a normal director. They made him have a huge ego in the story, make him agree with cannibalism, rape and murder in a children's film, and overall make him into a manipulative, horrible monster. All of this is just for the sake of adding scares, which again turns my stomach. And finally, at number 7, the protagonist killing himself after several years. Like, really? It took you that many years to decide to take your own life? This would have made a lot more sense in the context of the story. If it was like right afterwards that the person took their own life, why would they wait several years to do it? Obviously, you know, I don't understand every single person in the world. Some people deal with grief differently, so on and so forth. I just think it was written very poorly in this story. So those are 7 negative points on Crybaby Lane that I can comfortably list. There are so many other negatives that I could easily go into, but this video is going to be like 30 minutes long if I do that. I kind of wanted to condense all of the main points here, with the help of my friend Summit, all here, so you all can understand why me and him, and a bunch of other people in the Creepypasta community, have such a problem with this story. But what can we do to make it better? First off, completely redo the ending. There is literally no possible scenario where that works. Let's be real, everybody. Just completely cut it, 26 it, Gordon Ramsay it, whatever you want to say, just cut that out of there. No dice. The second thing we would do is, instead of making the protagonist an intern like in every single Lost episode creepypasta it seems, how about you make them an actual employee? Like, I don't know, a scriptwriter or somebody else who can be around Law a lot. It makes a lot more sense for them to disagree with this stuff, and it kind of would make sense of why they would be kept around. Because I imagine Law being this kind of perfectionist with a massive ego, he would want to keep the best of the best around him, surely. Thirdly, we still have to keep the original intent of the story, but instead of dragging an innocent person's name through the mud, we can keep Law as a normal person working alongside the main protagonist, but let's make a fictional character to be the villain in the story. That is so much more respectful, and would totally give this story a lot more credit and a lot more respect than how it was originally done. And let's also make this fictional character another scriptwriter. It would explain the clashes between him, Law, and all the other people on the working staff, because he wants to have his ideas succeed while the others want to do their own things. And how about, unlike in the original story, let's have everybody be reasonable, normal functioning people, and have them be very concerned with the ideas that our imaginary character would bring forth. But they would reluctantly go along with it because he would justify it by saying that this was just something never seen before in a kids' film. And all of these insane ideas don't have to be just blood and guts, it can be something else. Horror is a lot more than just blood, death and violence. It can go a lot deeper than that, it can be a lot more psychological. So how about, instead of just saying all these horrible things, the character we've made could actually give more psychological answers, some more obscure and subtle things. Like, I don't know, somebody off-screen taking their own lives, something like that. And for the ending, just have the guy be arrested, because there is literally no way on earth somebody like this would be allowed to work at Nickelodeon still. Let's say he gets arrested on the spot for the whole idea, without anybody knowing except for the lead producers. And we'll also say that most of the scenes made by our psychopath stand-in were deleted or remade by the people who make Crybaby Lane. And let's have a time skip to about 3 years after the film was released. It now becomes lost media. The protagonist would ask about what happened and why he was arrested, and they would explain the guy's story, he's got a thing for all this stuff, he does all these things, and that all of the ideas he gave for the film were all part of the stuff they found on his computer, but heavily changed so it wouldn't be that obvious. And that would be kind of the whole experience of Crybaby Lane. Okay, so that's how I would change Crybaby Lane. Because this story is genuinely one of the worst creepypastas ever made in my opinion, for several reasons I've listed in this episode of DDIC. I really hope you enjoyed me give this story an ass whooping, because ultimately, it really deserved it. Thank you all for watching. If you all enjoyed, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, hit the bell so you're always notified of my latest videos, and of course let me know, what do you guys want on the next episode of DDIC? But for now, I will see you all in the next video. Take care, my darks. If you enjoyed the video, and you would like to continue the scares, be sure to click one of the videos on the left or right, and click the channel logo to subscribe, and check the description if you want to join the Discord. Thank you for watching, and stay scared.